Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 32700 Southeast Leawood Lane, Unit 4000, here in Boring, located inside the crawl space. We're about, the latter third of the crawl space here. That's kind of as you face the house from the roadway. So dropping into the central 3-inch ABS clean out, we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running and we are zeroed out. Off we go. As we make our way in here, the line right now is heading straight towards the main road out front right now. Swapping over to 4-inch ABS. Superbly clean line so far. My camera is upside down. I apologize. I'm a little limited on some of the stuff I can reach down here. Little bit of an offset joint there at the transition. We'll revisit that on the way out. That joint doesn't show any signs thus far of being exposed to the ground. The offset is very small. Not to mention, spotless clean sewer lines. Nothing's hanging up on it. I would not expect to see that, really. I've done over 25,000 sewer scopes at this point in my career. Realistically, when it comes to plastic pipe, especially 4-inch diameter, you need to get into a pretty good size offset joint before it starts affecting functionality. You've got a little item here dangling off the Y connection. I'm going to locate and see where we are currently. We are hitting a Y right here, and we are likely tying onto the community line. What that right out of the gate appears to be, it's the exact same shape as the pipe joint. What you can get is some schmaltz that gets packed into the joint, especially from the construction phase, that peels off of it over time. Another little item poking out there. I'm just pushing out a little bit further here just to see if we run into anything else. But that Y right there likely is the end of your actual sewer line. Anytime you have these shared lines, I like to push a little ways past them just to make sure there's nothing immediately down line in the community part of the line. And at this rate, we have gone quite a bit past that. So, alrighty. What we're going to do here is I'm going to start scooting out of the crawl space. I'm going to pull the camera back to that Y connection, and we'll get a locate on that just to see where we're situated at. I've been in this development multiple times over the years. And generally speaking, your tie-in with the community line is often very, very close to the home. It's usually only about 10 to 15 feet outside the house. Now, just for the sake of getting the water you're seeing right now is not water from this house. I've had the water turned off now for a couple minutes. There is the clean out just before the septic system. I just pushed all the way out here. Where I stopped there just a moment ago was maybe 10 feet from the septic. Not knowing that if that's a pump system or a true septic, I don't want to go pushing all the way into it, but I figure while I'm at it, might as well give you a more complete scope. But we are well past your individual line at this point. Anyway, it's very easy to tell, typically speaking, when you're just about to hit a septic tank. Very, very common. In fact, I can tell you when I'm within 5 feet of almost every septic, whether they're old or new. That last 5 feet of a septic often will belly out to some extent. And when you get a belly like that 100 feet from your home, especially when it's out at the end of a community line, not something I'm terribly concerned about. Very little build up there. There was a little bit of stuff at the top of the pipe, but you can see sidewalls and top of pipe at this point coming back. Spotless clean. It's a lot more concerning when you see gunk hitting the top of the pipe coming all the way back to the house. That's your indication that backup has actually happened. Plus side you've got here is you have a ton of sheer downhill fall here. It's a very steep hill this line runs down. which is a good thing. It's a lot of gravity and speed working in your favor, keeps everything ripping through the line at a nice rate of speed. Yeah, I'm glad someone else is running water just so you can see that. Much of the pipe we've scoped here is community pipe, but I always like to do that just in case there is a severe problem in the community line to alert someone to. All right. Now, and again, the item there coming off the joint, as you can see there, it's the same contour as the pipe joint. What that is there is peeling off the joint. Immediately looking at that, as a guy who's seen, I cannot tell you how many tens of thousands of roots over my career, immediately that does not scream root intrusion. What that looks more like could be a little piece of gasket material, possibly something of the... when the install process took place, they use a substance called duck butter. It's a grease substance used to lube joints up when they shove things together. So what that looks like is something that's peeling off the pipe joint. But when you look at the space there, just above that little black stringy item where the pipe joint is at, I don't see any obvious signs there that dirt is migrating to that pipe joint or anything of the sort. On top of everything else, that joint is also in the community line. That's actually past the Y connection here. As you can see, it's the very first joint into the Y. So you can always forward that on to the HOA in here, whoever maintains things, but whatever it is not affecting functionality. I will go locate, though, just to put a little marking down where this is at. I'll use some white paint and put a Y marking down there. All right, so if you go and stand at the little wooden fence and look out towards the main road, kind of straight out from the middle of the house, that end of the home that faces out to the street, you'll see a little white marking there. Just as the hillside starts to dive down. That's right about or approximately where the line Y connects. So, and I will notate on the report the possibility of a root intrusion there. The amount of roots I've seen, that's just not how roots typically display themselves. They generally hang straight down. They flare out on the tips. That has more of a black rubbery kind of look to it. And they're usually trying to reach down into the flow lines where they can actually get to nutrients. So on top of that, generally when the root punches through a pipe joint, you're going to have dirt staining, dirt streaks where groundwater is seeped through adjacent to it. You can see the pipe there, the plastic, and it's the top of the pipe that does not see water hardly ever. You know, when you get a bad joint down the flow line, it can be tricky sometimes because the water flow through the line can wash your evidence away. That one there is up high at the top of the pipe. So I'll put the possibility of it down, but that's as much as I would even say. So, and then again, very, very minor offset here. My camera's just rounding a bend right now. That offset in the flow line is maybe 1/4 of an inch. It's extremely minor. That is nothing I would ever recommend you go dig stuff up over. The line is spotless clean. I would not expect to see major buildup on top of a joint like that to begin with, not unless the line was being very, very heavily abused. You know, and if it was just if you had a 1/4 inch offset, but there was also, again, dirt streaking, set evidence that that joint was actually exposed to the ground, would be something I'd be more concerned about. That's where you can get a progressive scenario of settling due to hydro erosion. But pipe joint spotless clean, no signs there that it's exposed to the ground. All right, the green valve cover box, I've got a bunch of bees flying around me over there, so I'm not going to spend too much time there. There's a green valve cover box just on the street side of the wooden fence. I think that's actually has the clean out concealed underneath it, because my locate's coming in just behind that box right now. My camera was also sitting just behind the clean out. So that appears to be where that exterior access point is at. I just don't want to anger the bees too much over there. They're already buzzing around a bit. Now we're going to go ahead and reel the camera out of the line here. Very nice flow all the way, most importantly, to the Y connection there at the community line. Got a couple little minor imperfections going on here. And about the only one that's actually in your line at all is a very, very minor offset joint. So as a reference, after 15 years and 25,000 sewer scopes, realistically, as it relates to offset joints, I do a lot of drain cleaning. I rarely see blockage problems in a 4-inch line until you've got an offset that's pushing over an inch. Even at that point, and generally speaking, when they block up, it's usually when the line's also being abused. So what you have there, stuff is shooting through that thing like it's not even there. That's how minor it is. Spotless clean line, everything all appears intact. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time. You can always forward the video to the HOA so they can be made of the possibility of a root there, but again, it did everything about that thing once you get up close to it does not display itself like a root.